What is up, people? The internet, it is me, Real American Politics, back in with a new video, and today, it is time that we do another video on the great state of Texas, and why it has been trending Democrat for the past couple of cycles. Now, we're not going to talk about the future of Texas. I made a video on it. My personal opinion on Texas has been that it's going to stay Republican. That's been my opinion on it. I mean, you just look at some of the details, especially the southern trends. There's really not much Democrats can really do. I mean, are you going to find more votes in Texas? I really don't know. Again, I made a whole video on the future of Texas, but we're going to be discussing why. Why has Texas become more competitive in the last couple of cycles? And it's a lot more complex than just, oh, my Hispanics, or, oh, my migrants, my implants, and stuff like that. So we're going to be doing a deep dive on what's truly turning Texas into a bluer state. Now, again, I think it's going to be a Republican state in the future, it's going to be closer than it was from 2000. That's all you need to know. Now, before I forget, of course, I hope you enjoy these type of videos. If you do, smash the like button down below, subscribe, share with your friends, hit that little bell, and yes, of course, go follow that mysterious Twitter account in the description down below. And yeah, also join the channel. That is right, folks. For just 10 cents a day, you can join the channel. Sorry about that, folks. My microphone broke out for a second. But yeah, for just 10 cents a day, you can join the channel. And only for $5 a month, you can join the channel and get a shout out at the end of each video. I think that's a good deal, and it helps Real American Politics continue daily content. So I hope you guys join today. Alright, sorry about that, folks. Again, my microphone's acting weird. I may have to get a new one, but let's get into it. So, Texas, what used to be the main Republican stronghold in recent years has been turning Democrat. Now, before we look into why, we got to look at where Texas truly has become more Democrat. I think a good comparison is Texas from 2012 to Texas in 2020. So, let's look at a place like Tarrant. Romney got around 57% of the vote here. There's a lot of voters in Tarrant, even back then. Well, you go here, yeah, Trump lost Tarrant County with only 49% of the vote. So just in 8 years, the Republicans have went down by 8 whole percentage points in Tarrant County. You look at a place like Dallas. Trump got 33% of the vote here. Romney got 41%. You go to places like Collin. Trump only got 51%. 65% for Romney. When you look at these swings, right, in these huge populated areas, you know, the Austin Metro, the Houston Metro, etc., etc. Houston, not so bad. I mean, yes, it did become a bit more Republican or Democrat, but we'll get to that in a little bit. But outside of like maybe parts of Houston, all these huge metros have swung Democrat. But the thing is, even with them winning nearly all the population centers, Trump still won the state by almost 5.5 points. So the question is this: what's really going on in Texas? Why is it that it hasn't flipped yet? Well, a big reason is the trends we saw in southern Texas. Of course, the Rio Grande Valley. I mean, he won Zapata County with 52.5% of the vote. This is a county that Romney got, 28%. That's a big swing, and I know there's not a lot of votes in these counties. But when you add up these huge swings, it really does save Texas for now. All right, and you look at some rural counties, places like Jefferson County. Trump won with 50% of the vote. Romney got 48.7%. Again, it's not a big swing, but these rural counties in eastern Texas have swung Republican. They become a Republican over the years, and that's a big reason why Texas hasn't flipped yet. And really, 2020 was the Democrats' best shot of flipping Texas, yet they couldn't. So with that out of the way, we got to discuss what's really happening in places like Travis County, Williamson County, etc. What's driving the swings we're seeing in these counties? Well, it's more complicated than just, Hispanics. Houston is probably the I would say the only real example of, Hispanics having a real effect. Yes, there's parts of Tarrant and Dallas that you can make argument about, but I would say Harris and places like Fort Bend, the Hispanic population there has increased dramatically, and it really, based on the precinct data, has been a big reason why those counties have shifted. Yes, statewide, Hispanics becoming more percent of the population has made it a bit harder for Republicans, but it's not the main reason. These people that push this garbage that's, Hispanics. Not really. Some parts like Houston area, yeah, I could understand that. But not really places like Travis. Again, there's some argument to be made, but it's not Hispanics, alright? It's partially, parts of the state, yes, it's Hispanics, like I said, Harris County. But outside of that, you look at the swings with Hispanic voters in this part of the state, they shifted heavy Republican, and they're just going to keep shifting Republican. You look at the data we have, all right, exit poll data, it was younger Hispanics who made the biggest shift. That's a bad sign for Democrats. That means there's still room to grow with Hispanic voters for the Republican Party. So it's not, Hispanics. There are multiple reasons. The first theory is, it's people moving from California, and I got into a ugly tweet fest against a certain clown on Twitter yesterday about this, but the thing is, this is something people fail to realize. Yes, more people from California and stuff are moving there, but we have data from states like Arizona by the one, the only Richard Barris, right? I don't think he's polled Texas about this yet, but he did poll Arizona, and he found newer voters that just moved there, are actually voting Republican, all right? First-generation voters are voting the most Republican, outside of native, Arizonians and stuff like that. Sure, Arizona and Texas are two different states, but very similar things happening. And also, people fail to realize, places like Travis County, for example, yes, there's been a lot of people moving there, but people fail to realize where, right? This is from the census. This is a very good tool that I think everybody should use. Let's go to Travis County. All right, this is net migration, all right? It shows you where people are moving from, etc. And let's see. Let us see Travis County. And look at this. Movers from a different state, 36,000. Okay, that's a pretty big increase, but that's nothing compared to this. Movers from a different county, same state. That means people that move from Houston, from Dallas, etc. to Travis, where Austin is. Look at this. 47,000 people. 47,000 people moved from within Texas to Travis County. Very similar things to places like, Williamson. You go here. I don't think it's as extreme, though. Let's see here. Yeah, actually, it's way worse. Holy crap. It's nearly double. And you start looking at these, it's like, okay, that makes sense. What's happening to these liberals that have, lived in places like Houston, lived in places like Dallas, etc.? They've been, or I should say, outskirts of Dallas, they've been flooding the cities and suburbs. All right? They've been flooding them. And they brought their voting habits with them, and they've kind of created these groupthink areas where, there's no real alternative outside leftists. That's what I think's really happening in parts of the state, places like the Austin area. Even Houston, this is the best demonstration of this. Look at this. Look at the amount of people that moved from abroad. That means from foreign countries. 55,000 compared to 73,000 from a different state and 92,000 within the same state. You see what's really going on here. Liberals and leftists within Texas that used to live in rural areas have been flooding the cities, bringing their voting habits with them, bringing their culture with them, and it's, generally speaking, have changed the cultures of multiple metro areas. But here's the thing. You can make the argument Harris County is mostly done with Hispanic voters. There is evidence of this. Look at this. That's ridiculous. And the argument about, people moving from within the state to Austin, that's true. We have evidence of this, right? And that's why you're seeing more and more rural areas become more Republican. Yes, obviously it's because, Republicans have changed, But more and more liberals are moving out of rural areas, moving to these cities, and they're creating these groupthink areas where Republicans have no shot. And that's education reform. It's a big reason, right? We'll get to that in a little bit in the Dallas area, because the Dallas area is actually a bit unique. You go to Dallas County, all right, this is Dallas County. Look at this. It's, movers from a different state, 47,000, 69,000, nice. Movers from a different county. And you look at places like Dallas, it's like the same trend appears to be true there. But then you go to Tarrant. I believe it is Tarrant County. And, which one is it? It's I think it's Denton. Either way, there's a county up here. All right, that kind of like reverses trends a little bit, where it's like, oh yeah, there's a bunch of people that moved from California and stuff to the Dallas area, but they've been shifting Democrat. So what's really going on up here in the Dallas area? I think, of course, same thing you're seeing in Houston and Travis, where leftists are just flooding this part of the state. But I think it honestly has to do more with education. This is a chart, or I should say, I guess a table, of every Texas county with education by year. It's from 1970, you see here, to 2020, all right? And let's go to Dallas County, all right? Look at this. Dallas, Texas. I think this is the correct county. Yep, it is. And it's not really that big, all right? We obviously saw that in the migration numbers. But then you go to places like, let's go to Denton. I think right here. Look at this. Almost 46% of the population is that of a college degree. These voters have always voted a bit more Democrat. Always. All right, and look at this. They've become even more college educated, quote-unquote educated, and since the 90s, which does explain how Denton County went from 65% Romney to 53% Trump. And you could use this argument for places like Travis, all right, which I don't really use it that much. I think it just more so has to do with the extreme leftists that already had a college degree just moving into Travis. Like right here, 51.5%. That's what I'm talking about. So places like Travis and Houston, all right, they've been getting flooded with leftists from within their own state. Yes, there's been some migrants from California, etc. But places that, don't have as big as a net migrant population, like Dallas, Tarrant, Denton, Collin. Yes, they're more from out of state. But it appears to be more from education reasons. So with all that in mind, what's the final verdict? What's really going on here in Texas? Well, it depends on the part of the state. I think a place like Houston, it's been heavily influenced by the rise of Hispanic voters. I mean, you can look at the demographics of Houston. I mean, there's been a lot of Hispanics moving to Houston. Also some Asians, but mostly Hispanics. You go to a place like San Antonio and Travis, what I think's happened is a lot of these people that, were leftists already in the more rural parts of the state. They've just flooded these counties, right? They just absolutely flooded them. And they created this groupthink culture where Republicans have no shot because they have not tried for years in this part of the state. But also I do think it has parts to do with the amount of people with a college degree, these people that have been indoctrinated in our schools. I think that's a big reason for what we're seeing in the Dallas area. But I do think the Dallas area, there's going to be some reversals. I think Tarrant County is going to flip 2024. I think it'll go back Republican. There is a solid working class base there. And with what we saw in Virginia in 2021, a lot of these suburban voters that have been trending Democrat, I think a lot of them are going to start voting Republican. I don't think you're going to get Bush numbers here, but I think you'll get, mid to high 50s, which not great. I'll take it. I'll absolutely take it. And you have a place like Houston, which the Hispanic population may unironically be helping Republicans. I mean, you look at the precinct data. I mean, it trended Republican in 2020. You start taking that into account, Republicans have a serious shot of kind of reversing some of these trends. Again, I'm not going to get into it, but the big reason for the shifts we saw is education, migration within the own state, and sure, you can maybe make the argument California voters moved to Travis, and they're mostly from San Francisco, and that's why. Sure, but I think it more has to do with education, demographics, and flat out migration within the state. Anyways, folks, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, smash the like button down below, subscribe, share with your friends, hit the little bell, and yes, of course, go follow the mysterious Twitter account in the description down below. And yeah, thank you so much for watching. We'll see you guys in the next video. Godspeed to all of you.